What's up guys, Andrew Boon here. Today we have the brand new Sony a6400. Is it an upgrade or is it a downgrade compared to the a6500? Let's get it and find out. What's up guys? It is good to be back. It has been a little while since I released a video, so I'm excited to show you guys this one. So a few months ago, when I heard Sony was releasing a new camera, I was hoping for an a7S Mark III, or at least a flagship APS-C camera like an a6000. So when we got this, the a6400, I was a little surprised. Didn't know how to take it really. The a6400 is actually a lot more than it's made out to be. It's marketed towards vloggers because of this flip screen right here. See it? The flip screen is actually a first for APS-C a6000 series cameras. Personally, I kind of like the design. So people are actually complaining about the placement of the screen because when you mount a microphone on the hot shoe, it actually blocks it so you can't see yourself. I personally don't have a problem with this. There are many other ways to mount a microphone if need be, like this new accessory from SmallRig. Personally, I'm used to not having a screen anyway. I'll use the screen to compose, but then I'll put it down because honestly, as a vlogger, you should be looking into your lens and not into the screen anyway. Speaking of screen, the touch screen on the a6400 is actually pretty nice and a lot more responsive than the one on the a6500. The a6400 may have a better touch screen and actually a screen that flips, but one thing it doesn't have is internal body stabilization, or IBIS, like the a6500. I found IBIS to be very handy for removing all those micro jitters. Anything handheld, it's gonna help you out a lot. So I decided to take out the a6400 and the a6500 for a little IBIS test, I guess you can say. This is the setup I was rocking right here. Identical setup, identical lens, identical settings. In the test we see that handheld, the a6500 does a little bit better job removing the micro jitters because of IBIS, but anything walking, they're pretty comparable, and honestly, the a6500 is a little bit better, but nothing to write home about. These cameras have identical image quality, so don't really expect any change there. The sensors are pretty much identical. Both of these cameras shoot 4K up to 30 frames per second and 1080 up to 120 frames per second. The 4K footage is still 100 megabits per second down sampled from 6K for a nice crispy image, but the 1080 in all frame rates is still kind of mushy compared to, say, a full frame a7 III. Besides minor external changes, most of the differences with the a6400 are going to be internal and kind of deal with usability. On the outside, both cameras are pretty much the same. Both have a mic jack but no headphone jack. The a6500 actually does have a deeper grip here for your fingers, so it's easier to hold larger lenses, and not to mention it also has an extra custom button on top. Both of these cameras can shoot 11 frames per second, but the buffer on the a6500 is almost twice as big. For the a6500, that's about all the advantages it actually has. From here on out, it's all a6400. A few simple additions to the a6400 that I actually really do appreciate are the My Menu, just like the newer full-frame a7 series cameras, a built-in intervalometer, it has hybrid log gamma, and S-Log 2 and 3 now actually start at an ISO of 500 instead of 800. And overall, the color science just better matches the newer a7 series cameras like the a7 III. The a6500 was by no means a slouch when it came to autofocus, but I think the a6400 actually trumps it a little bit because of the real-time tracking. It's reliable, it's intelligent, and I mean, it just works really well. If there's an eye, then it'll grab the eye. If there's no eye, then it'll go to face tracking. If there's no face, then it'll go to general subject tracking, but it just does a really good job. Now you can even select which eye you focus on. On previous Sony cameras, you would have to change settings or change focus modes to achieve the same effect, but now on the a6400, it kind of just does it for you. The biggest improvement, in my opinion, to the a6400 that allows it to do much more is that Sony decided to put a similar processor as the A9 into this little camera. So we all know how bad these tiny little Sony batteries are. I mean, we all have a ton of them and they just don't last very long. Luckily, due to the new processor, we actually find a little bit more battery life out of these batteries. In my testing, I'm kind of finding about 10 to 15%. Not much, but definitely better. We actually no longer have a 30-minute record limit, which is amazing. But of course, being a Sony camera, my concern was overheating. After a few tests, I found that the a6400 handles heat distribution much better than the a6500. In identical situations, shooting continuous 4K indoors on the high temp setting, I found that the a6500 actually overheated and shut down after 38 minutes. In comparison, the a6400 went all the way until the battery died at 74 minutes. The overheat warning did come up around the 45-minute mark, but it never actually shut down, so that's great. As another bonus, now the screen on the a6400 doesn't dim when shooting 4K, so that definitely helps out when shooting outdoors. Overall, I don't think there's a reason to choose the a6500 unless you really need IBIS or you shoot a lot of video. The a6400 does have many improvements that make it a lot more user-friendly, and personally I think it would make a great travel cam, maybe a good B cam for weddings and events like that because it no longer has a record limit. If you don't have an APS-C Sony cam at all yet and you're looking to buy one, I think the a6400 is the perfect recommendation. It has everything that you would need. If you already have an APS-C camera like a 6000 or a a6300, I still think the 6400 is worth the upgrade. I have an a6500. I don't plan on replacing it with an a6400, mainly because of IBIS. I do a ton of video and it really comes in handy for me. And plus the image quality is exactly the same. That's it guys. I hope you enjoyed my video on the a6400. Definitely leave me some feedback, questions, comments, all that good stuff. Hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time guys, peace!